this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we woman to woman, you lift me up. I hope that I can do the same for you. You were there when no one else would. Take the burden away, that's how we do. Sister, I need you to walk with me on this journey. Yes, hold me accountable, cause sometimes I need to know the truth. Sister, I love you. We're one and the same, cause we.
Good evening, and welcome to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. I'm going to bring my co-hosts in to the stage so they can join me and introduce themselves. Tonight, we are back again for another episode of the Woman to Woman show. So thank you for joining us this Monday night. What is it? April 21st. Can you believe it? Ladies, we are approaching the end of the month. How are you guys doing tonight?
The end of another month. Yes. Doing well.
Christmas is around the corner.
I know, right?
Oh.
It is. Sheila's season is coming up.
That's right. That warm weather. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. All right. So let's get started. I will start out. I'm going to introduce myself, say what I'm grateful for, and then we'll just go around. Theodora Carter. I am a certified professional coach, career coach, HR consultant, founder and owner of T. Carter Coaching and Consultant. And I am grateful for another Monday. I am grateful that this has been a busy month, but a productive month. And I am grateful that in 7 days, I think, I will celebrate another birthday, God willing. I will celebrate
another year around
birthday.
the sun.
So yes, another year around the sun. So that is what I am grateful for tonight. And I'm grateful just to be here with you ladies once again as well. And I am going to pass the baton to Sheila.
Good evening. I am Sheila Isom, and I am an insurance professional, insurance claims to be specific. I am also a notary public. I am an independent consultant for Color Street, where we sell nail polish strips. And I am also a soon-to-be voice actor.
Mm-mm.
And yes, and I am grateful for rest, because I don't often get a good night's sleep, but I did last night and the night before. So those are good things for me.
Nice.
Oh, it's the Reginas. Okay, so I'll go. Hey y'all, how you doing? This is Regina, known as Gina, but I'm a co-host. And I'll start off what I'm grateful for. I came out of this has been a lot as far as understanding and getting closer to the Lord. And this particular season that I celebrate, which is Passover, I really got clarity on things that I didn't before, and it kind of was like leading up to, the different things in April where we celebrate Easter, Easter, Passover, all the different major. Right now somebody else got me thinking about Christmas. But I just really am grateful for the patience of our Father, and how, as we continue to learn and grow, we're here on this side of the dirt to actually do something about the things that we learn. So I'm grateful for revelations. I'm thankful for being here. And okay, so hi, I'm Regina, and I cook a little food, and I'm a licensed vendor with the Department of Education, where I teach young folks on how to find their secret sauce, whether it's stirring the pot or finding that something special about themselves, and how to really create strategies. You'd be surprised what the young folks pick up better than some of us older folks on how to really work on seeking out their lives and their goals. So yeah,
Nice.
that's what I'm happy and excited about, and grateful to be here with y'all.
Yeah. Nice. And last but not least,
The other Regina.
yes.
We not the other, we the. Boom
The
boom.
Reginas. The
There you go. Boom boom,
however,
baby.
in Jersey I'm known as Gina, but she took Gina.
I know.
In North Carolina, no one ever calls me Gina. They call me Regina. So it fits. So anyway, I am the owner of Seasoned and Fabulous, which is women 50 and older. Help them get unstuck if they are stuck, or help them pull out the dreams, hopes, whatever they do in the second half of their life. And I am grateful for projects being completed.
Mm.
And
Mm.
when I tell y'all know my book is coming out, my journal.
Yeah.
Praise to God, I finished it today.
Mm-hmm.
All
Oh,
Now I just
right.
got to send it to the editor,
congratulations.
like proofread. And y'all, let me tell you, at the last hour when I sent it to the editor, I'm like, I'm done, I'm done. So then I'm looking like, oh, let me just do it once over.
Mm-hmm.
I hit some button and everything went everywhere. I said, oh, I started praying. I said, don't let me lose my manuscript.
Let me tell you, I think when I was writing, I
Oh,
probably saved in 3 different places because I was
yeah.
like,
So when I
Lord,
got it back together, I said, Father in heaven, I'm done. Let me
I
just send
know.
it off.
I know that's right.
yep,
I
I'm
know
leaving
that's
it
right.
alone. I'm not touching
yeah,
anything.
that's it. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's nothing like that feeling to be
Yeah, because
like,
I kept thinking if I hit something wrong, then everything is gonna disappear.
I mean, the great thing is though, thank God most of these computers now,
Yeah, they do
they
save, but
save it. Like it may not be the whole thing, but they will
hmm
save like the
yeah.
last condition. So,
hmm But
because
it's just that mindset. You thinking that you think the worst, like, oh my
Yeah.
God,
exactly.
Yeah.
everything's gonna go somewhere, and then I got to be looking all over this thing, trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm grateful for completed projects, and when it's complete, just be complete and let it be done. Don't be trying to add no fancy stuff to.
You right about that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, especially with the first book, is like when they sent it back, I had to be like, well, no, I know it didn't sound correct to you, but I said it like that on
hmm
purpose, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
sometimes they'll try to change something because they think it's not grammatically correct, but it's like, no, I did that for a reason, So
Yeah.
hopefully you won't have,
Changing your tonality.
yeah.
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 But congratulations,
Thank
congrats.
you.
Yes.
So in a few
Congratulations,
weeks, it
Regina.
should be popping
Oh
on and
Yeah.
yeah.
popping out in the public.
You
Yeah,
got that
I didn't
right.
place my order because I'm like, I'm just gonna get mine in person.
Yep, I know.
And
I
so
saw
you know,
Sheila. I saw Sheila's in there. I was like, okay.
Yes. Yes.
well, you gotta let me know. Hello, send me what I need to do to get my order.
You know,
She posted
okay, I'll
her.
send
I
the
think
link.
she posted her link on the
I did. I gotta
on her
find
page.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, well
'cause
then, okay.
one of my friends said that the link disappeared. Now you know me and tech savvy. She said, "Can you send it again?" So when I did, she said, "I'm just gonna give you your card." I started feeling all crazy. I said, "Now if it disappeared on you, what is?" So Theo,
You
who's
probably
my
just
little
need
tech
to. You
person, I have
probably
to
just
call
need
tech
to.
tech
You
person.
probably just need to refresh it in your
Maybe that's what it
on
was when
social
she did.
media because after a while it doesn't. It does. It's gonna be lower in your feed.
Oh, okay. Because she just said she had it and it disappeared. So I just sent her. I was like, girl. And now I'm in here trying to do all this. I said, that's too much for my mind right now.
You just have to keep probably refreshing it and resharing
Okay.
it.
I'm gonna send it out. I'm gonna send it out again tonight.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
well, maybe tomorrow after we get off. I don't know.
Right.
Might
I
be
know.
lights out. But
Well, good evening, ladies. So Sheila kind of set us up for tonight's topic. So tonight we are talking about um, rest. We are talking
Mm,
about
Okay.
just feeling getting rest and not feeling guilty about it. Right. So that
mm.
that is our topic tonight. So Sheila kind of set us up for it tonight. So I'm gonna start with the first question that I had, honestly, which is, have you ever felt guilty for for needing rest?
No.
Not for needing rest.
Mhm.
Um, I felt guilty though for actually taking the rest
Okay.
because of things that were left undone. But I
Mm,
also realized that if I wasn't mentally and physically prepared to carry out those tasks, I wasn't going to do them right, or
mm.
I wasn't going to
Yeah.
put my whole heart into it.
Right.
What I need
Okay.
to do is to set a time limit on that rest and be intentional about cutting the rest because I know I've gotten what I need and then performing the task that I've set out to do.
Right.
Love it.
But I've learned
Well,
over the
I
years,
love the word. I love intentional.
yeah, I've learned over the years, there's that meme that's been going around for years that says about how as kids we would fight to take a nap, and now
Mm,
Yeah.
as adults, we're fighting to take a nap.
yeah.
Because you realize over the years that you're too busy. You're so busy ripping and running. You're working. You may be going to church. You're doing this and that, taking care of the
Yes.
home, and you're not taking care of yourself. And part of taking care of yourself is getting rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
For real.
Well, that's a beautiful question, Theo, because when you think about putting guilt and rest in the same sentence, rest helps you to restore
Mm-hmm.
and be able to do your task. And also, there's just healthy benefits of resting. But I didn't really come to those levels of understanding until I got older because, when we're younger, we're running, we're doing this and that, we're handling multiple tasks and different things, we're into activities and that sort of stuff. So I never really felt like I was like didn't want to say no. So it was like let me try to squeeze this another thing on, even though I would come home probably be a little out of it. But I'm like, well, I can handle it. I could do it. I could do it. But what I didn't realize is, like Sheila said, by not getting the rest, because I
Mm-hmm.
had said yes to so many things, and I didn't want to disappoint the people or the commitment that I said yes to. It was like, well, let me burn the midnight oil, right?
Yeah.
So now burn the midnight oil, doing that maybe 3 times, 3 to 4 times a week. I didn't realize what I was depleted physically. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me a while to say, okay, reorganize how you're doing stuff because it's wearing. So not getting the rest, now I have no guilt with
Mm-hmm.
resting because I've realized not getting the rest won't make me more productive. It won't make me have the ability to do those multiple projects any better. As a matter of fact, something gets missing because I'm not all in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
physically there, but my focus on what I'm supposed to do isn't all the way there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired and I'm making myself stay awake so I
Yeah.
can get the thing done, but I still may be missing something. So what I've
Mm-hmm.
learned how to do now is honor the fact that when I rest, I am more focused, I'm more intentional. It doesn't take me as long to get things done because I'm not trying to fight being tired. And so what I have to do now is be intentional with how I use my time.
Okay.
Because like one of my church moms would say to me, we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
but it's how we're using it.
Wow.
Mhm.
So if I can spend 2 hours doing stuff random, surfing or the internet or doing something. No, if I'm using those 2 hours to do something productive, then I don't feel guilty when I go to bed at a reasonable time because I've used hours where I'm alert to be productive.
Nice.
So I've learned how to do that. Plus, I'm a Sabbath keeper, so I get to intentionally from sundown Friday night to sundown Saturday night. I'm checked out on the world and I'm checked in with the Lord, and all I'm doing is reading His Word and focusing on that as much as possible without any distraction. So that's where I've learned how to start appreciating, not feeling guilty about resting.
Cool. Regina.
As you know, I didn't even know what the subject was tonight because I was so busy and focused. I didn't read no emails, no nothing. Usually we don't know until we come on 20 minutes before. I didn't even get that. I was looking around because I have a book on rest. I was looking on my um, shelf. I can't seem to see it far away. But what I want to say about that is a really good exercise on resting. Resting can be 20 minutes of your time and knowing your boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and saying no. Resting, and I did this exercise, a lot of you know, well, you ladies know that I'm part of Girl Track. So it was this book that was recommended and I did it. One exercise they had, and I happened to be off. I think it was in the summer when I didn't have to do school or anything. Or maybe it was during a time that I was laid off and I did do a lot of great things. So I learned a lot of things. So it was like high noon. And what I did is I just took a pillow and I laid it in the middle of my floor. I went and got a wine glass. They said, get something because you need water, whatever you think it is. So I got a wine glass, Sheila. You can attest to this because it made me feel like I was drinking wine. And I filled it up
With
with
water.
water with some lemon. And I just laid there. And it was literally for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked us through it of what rest was like. And when I tell you those 20 minutes, and it said gather some things that were favorite for you. So I gathered a candle. I turned, well, it was already dark a little bit, but I made it darker. I lit my candle. I had my nice glass of wine, well, water that was had the I didn't have no wine in it, but it was water. But I used my glass, and literally that 20 minutes. And I began to set boundaries. And so with that, I understood that my rest not only is at sleep, my rest is my boundaries.
Mhm.
So when my boundaries, I'm like, no, I do not have the capacity because that's going to take my inner space or the all I have because my cup runneth over.
Mm.
Right.
It's
The
crazy.
rest goes beyond
Yeah.
sleep.
So
Yes.
so it's crazy because this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and we're talking about um, rest and whether or not you feel guilty when you're rested. And my co-hosts have come in with guns blasting because they basically have covered and answered all the questions I have for you. So the show is but no, because as I was researching this topic, one of the things that I had came across was productivity guilt versus purposeful rest, right? Which all of you talked about, right? And so they were saying productivity guilt is the feeling that one should be constantly productive. So in our mind, like we feel like we have to constantly be productive, constantly doing something, right? Which basically ends up hindering purposeful rest, which they described as you all described using my favorite word. It's about intentionally taking time to recharge and recover, which is essential for both your mental and physical health. Right. And so you guys just kind of knocked it out of the park, right? Like just about, honestly, one of the things, I talk about all the time is just being intentional. But the thing that I love that you mentioned is, right, it's not just about, being intentional about like a spa day or naps, which I have definitely incorporated naps into my weekends, right? So usually on Sunday after church, I come home and take a little nap. But one of the things they talked about is what Regina, you mentioned, which is boundaries. And then I think somebody else, one of you guys said, um, just solitude and slowing down, right? Just really being intentional about taking that time for yourself. It's funny because everyone's is like, oh, what are you going to be doing for your birthday? Normally and this year I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be home. And everybody's like, oh, what do you want to do? What are you doing? And I was like, I just told one of my coworkers, I was like, honestly, I really just want to stay home and sit on my patio and read a book, right? Or just sit still, just breathe in some air and chill, right? Because honestly, I feel like in my probably late 20s and 30s, right? I was always busy. And I was always
Hmm.
busy because I was masking something else, right? So the busyness was helping me, but it was still in a void that I didn't even realize at that time until, I started doing the work on myself. But I wonder how many people are in that situation, right? Because we have done the work, right? Because we all probably were at that point of productivity guilt. Like, can you think of a time when you were in that productivity guilt stage?
Yes, all the way from 20s up to 7 or 8 years ago, because it was always about being involved, like serving different ministries in my church,
Mhm.
the different levels of motherhood, transitioning from children being little to now they're young adults, and how to navigate being a mom, and I'm a wife, right? And then now my
Mm,
mother's getting older, so there's different levels of concern. So I'm like, should I answer? If I don't go over to see her when she calls me, how
Hmm.
I don't want to feel bad about that, and and it was always like something, and especially when my grandmother was alive, because that was my girl, so I was always going
mm,
to check in on her. So it was always about trying to be available for the people in my life that I cared about, and that had nothing to do with my work responsibilities. When I was at Dress for Success, we had a lot of project based things going on. So there was always programs start. One was in the beginning, one was in the middle, and one was finishing, and we were
mm,
launching. So it was always something. And in management, you're always at the center of putting it together. You know, uh, getting in the weeds on things and how it comes together. So it was always, and then times when I wanted to leave and go home, I'm working late nights to finish up and run a show or outreach for speakers and all this other stuff. And it's like I felt guilty if I said I had to leave, but I have
mm,
family at home. I have a husband that's cooking dinner, expecting me to get off the train at 6:30, and
mm,
I'm getting off at 8 because I stayed in the office. And so the boundaries that Regina spoke about, I'll tell anybody listen, if you are in a workspace and you having your career, building your life, you have to create boundaries for yourself. You have to realize at the end of the day, no disrespect to your skill sets and how awesome you are, but we can all be replaced at a job. If it's not your own business, something that's not with your name on it, and you don't have and you have a succession plan for how it's going to go, we can
Yep.
all be replaced. And
mhm,
if you don't set your boundaries and your priorities for the people that you love in those moments that you never recapture, you need to think about that, because that job is going to pull you, or that person or those people will pull your energy because they love what you bring, they love what you do, they love the skill. But
mhm,
when you all tired and drained out, who coming to visit you? Who coming to
Mhm.
check for you? So you
Exactly.
start setting those boundaries now. And it's not that you can't do different things to be
Yeah.
multifaceted and stuff, but check your inner clock. I always, my older children, I say, hey, I know you're doing a lot of different stuff and I love you, I'm proud of you and everything, but are you getting your rest?
I love that you said that, because one of the things I wrote down is who takes care of you when you're tired, right? And
Right,
so the one thing I want to address, and I'm going to say this just from the place of my profession, right? Because I just told this to someone recently, being in HR, you see the employees that give their all and are
yes,
always there, right? But then you also see the time when you got to sit across the room with a leader to tell somebody that there's a layoff, right? Or you don't
right,
need them anymore. And or you see the person that takes really ill and they can't come back to work. And not that the organization doesn't care, right? But it's business as usual. They're gonna they're gonna
right,
they're gonna make sure you have what you need. They may send you some flowers, they're gonna check on you. But trust and believe, they're either looking for a temp to fill in temporarily, or they're posting your job, right, so they could fill the position. And so
right,
the one thing I tell people that I've learned just from being in this field is that, listen, they will figure out a way to do the job that you do. So yes, you truly are not indispensable, right? And
right,
some of us get into that mindset of where we feel like if we're not there, it's going to fall apart. It's not. So when it's time for you to take PTO, trust and believe. You need to make sure all your notifications are off. You are not checking your emails. You are
yeah,
truly disconnecting,
that's
right?
right.
But some of us, because we are so tied to those identities, right?
Mm,
Because even you, Regina, as you were talking, right? You said there was a time you were so busy because you were what? You were a mom. You were a wife. You were whatever your title was, right? You talked about ministries at church, right? So many of us get tied to these titles that also becomes where that productivity guilt comes in, right? You're on like how many ministries at church, and you feel like if you don't show up, right, people are gonna be like, oh my God, where is she? Trust me, they're gonna find somebody else to fill in for you.
well, well, yes and no. So, and here's the thing: work is so work. Like we said, the position is there. They see you're great at it, but if something happens and you get let go or you move on, boom, the post is going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
The difference for me when it came to church is because I was like, it was always in my head ingrained when you serving the people, you serving God, right? So it was like I didn't want to let him down. So yeah, I'm in these different ministries, and then I didn't want to let them down. By letting them down, I'm letting God down. But then I had to listen to one of my church moms, see church women, they know some stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
and she told me, she said, baby, let me tell you. Her name is Ruby Williamson. We call her Mom Ruby. She said, let me tell you, Angel. She said, your first ministry is your family. You cannot be in here doing all this different stuff and you didn't make sure that there's food on the table for your family and your children and your husband. Are they okay? And
Mm-hmm.
she would always tell me that. She said, it's okay to say no. It's okay if you have to leave early because there's somebody else here that we all here together. And she served in the culinary ministry. She served in a lot of ministries, but I served with her for like almost 20 years in the culinary ministry. And she taught me that. She helped me understand boundaries and didn't make me the guilt that you talked about. She was like, no, no, no. Your first ministry is your family. So and that resonated with me because I was like, oh, I'm like I'm not being a bad guy if I gotta leave because you know, I, I
Mm-hmm.
got I got food halfway prepared, right, at home that I gotta finish cooking. So after church, if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing something else, then it's like, well, the kids are like, Mom, you coming? Are you coming home? Or I'll be there in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sunday. Like, why am I not home with my children?
Yeah.
But so that that resonates with me so much because we all different things we want to like be there, be available, but we also have to prioritize what's important. And
Yeah.
you can't be 100. If people think, "Oh, I'm multitasking," let me tell y'all, some people like I'm not a doctor and I don't play with on TV, but I'll tell you one thing: multitasking, being 100% in tune with what's happening, 3 or 4 things at a time, is not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It is not.
Yeah.
You cannot be doing 3 things 100% at the same time.
Mm.
And so you have to choose your priorities. And if you have a family or you have people that you really are connected to, and that's part of where your source of your strength comes from, or where you have a whole responsibility, you need to understand that that's what's important. And the jobs or the other things we do are supposed to help bring that together. The
Mm.
job is supposed to help you take care of your needs. It's not supposed to overshadow your.
Mm. Yeah.
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 Listen, I have been in two situations related to work where I've had to train my replacement.
Mm.
And, and in one of those jobs, I actually had to train two people to replace my position.
Mm.
So
That's
again,
what normally happens.
yeah. So you can devote yourself to an employer or to a relationship and
Mm-hmm.
find out that loyalty starts with you. That loyalty, that self care and concern starts with you because you can very easily be replaced one
Mm-hmm.
way or another. You can be replaced as a significant other, and you can
Mm-hmm.
certainly be replaced as an employee.
And say that again. Loyalty starts with.
Loyalty starts with you. You have to be loyal and committed
Mm-hmm.
to yourself and your well being above all else. Just as what Gina was saying, you have to take care of yourself
So,
first
yep.
and foremost
Yep.
because no one else is going to be responsible for you.
Yep.
So
You
true.
you you are responsible for. I was talking to Trey recently, and I was like, um, you are responsible for your healing, right? But you are
Okay?
also responsible for your self care, right? You are
Yes.
Yep.
responsible for ensuring that you are able to pour. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I know people are like, oh, that's like a standard, little cliche or whatever, but that's real.
Yeah.
Um, and I say that because like you, there was a time when I was on like so many ministries that it got to the point where, yes, I felt like I was serving, and me serving meant I was serving God. But then the Holy Spirit was like, but yeah, but you're not getting fed because you're in church 3 Sundays or 4 Sundays out of the month serving. You're hearing the word, you're hearing a snippet of it, you're picking it up, but you're not really like you're so. I was so like tired that I was beginning to get frustrated and resentful
Right.
serving, right?
Yeah, that's church burnout.
Yeah, to
That
where I
is
have
church
Mhm.
burnout.
exactly. And so there is something as like I was talking to one of my coworkers today, right? I was like, there's something like decision fatigue.
Mm.
Like when you're spending so much time at work, especially those of us who are in positions where you have to make a decision, you have to guide other people, you have to give direction, that literally sometimes when I go out to a restaurant, if it's a restaurant I'm familiar with, don't give me a menu. I know what I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat the same thing every time because I'm gonna look at a menu and I don't want to make another decision. Right? And that might seem really minute, but it's the same thing. There's such a thing as just church burnout, this decision fatigue, right? There are all of these things that we have to be intentional about guarding
Yes.
our self-care, which starts with, I think each and every one of you said, boundaries,
Yes.
right?
It starts with knowing you,
Yep.
and that's the work that you have to do. I When I realized that I had to take care of myself, is that one time I was doing so much. I actually had a car accident, totaled
Mm-hmm.
my car out. That's when I said, okay, enough is enough.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did at least 4 events that day before. And at the time, my ex husband, who was, like I told you guys, we were friends, and he
Mm-hmm.
was, I lived in Jersey at the time, so he came up from North Carolina. He's from Jersey, but everyone had moved, and I was left by myself. So I was just doing everything. And like you said before, Theo, somebody asked you to do it, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was leaving to go back, and he said, "You really need to sit down. You are tired." I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not tired." And I had that car accident. He left,
Mm.
and they was like, "Who should you call?" And actually, that's another. Like, I had nobody to call but him,
Mm.
and my kids were gone. It really was nobody, literally nobody to call. I guess I could have thought of some girlfriends, but first thing you think of is your family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I was in a
Right.
state with no family.
Yeah.
All my family was gone. And he turned around and came back. And he says, "I'm not going to beat you up with this one, but I told you to stay home."
But you know what's so crazy, Regina, and I'm sure we all have experienced this, at least me.
Mhm,
I sometimes God will sit me down, and
mhm.
I remember,
And
and I will get so
That's
sick to
it.
where
mhm.
I can't do anything.
Yep,
And
and that was a sit
it'd
down.
be
Yeah.
like kidney infection.
Mhm,
I'd be like, this is the extreme. But I
mhm,
think it got to the point where God was like, if I don't lay her, if I don't put her in a situation
mhm,
where she can't move, she's not gonna stop. But I
mhm,
realized that the busyness was filling a void.
mhm,
Mm.
Right. And I didn't realize
Mm-hmm.
that until years
mhm,
later, right? 50, 40s, 50s, where I'm starting to do the
mhm,
work. I'm starting, like, I think one of
mhm,
you said, right? I think you said it, Regina, knowing yourself,
mhm,
right? Knowing what drives you, trying to
mhm,
figure out, like, why am I always all over the place? Why do I feel
mhm.
like I will
Yeah.
honestly tell you guys, there was a time where, and I remember this because I was living in Central Jersey. um my church, one of the ministries at my church, we were having I think it was around Christmas time, celebration at someone's house that literally lived around the corner from me, right? But then there was something happening in the Bronx, right, that I felt like I had to be there. I can't let these people down. So I literally stopped by the right around the corner, hung out there for a little while, then drove to the Bronx from
Wow.
Central Jersey,
Whoa.
out with no traffic.
Whoa.
With no traffic, I could usually do it 50. I'm gonna say 50 minutes, but 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 right, but no traffic, I can make it there in a decent time. But with traffic, it could be an hour 15 minutes, right? To the Bronx. Now, mind you, I'm right around the corner from my house at an event. Leave an event to go to the Bronx to
Mm.
drive, to only then have to drive back home.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really knowing your boundaries, knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Just like, even this spring break, I was on spring break. Even for my birthday, birthday is March 22nd. What you gonna do? Nothing. Whatever I feel like doing, whatever it
Mhm.
was. I sat on the couch. Like,
Yeah.
Theo, that's the best. People kept asking me, "You want?" No, I don't want to do anything this spring break. And I didn't feel guilty. I knew I had to get this book done, but I did not stress. If I came and I just sat on that couch, I said, I must need the rest. So
Mhm.
today I had nothing planned, and I knew it was not a lot left to do with the book.
Mm.
I knocked it out because I had my notes, I had things, nobody was bothering me. And I realized, I said, the reason I didn't do it before is because I had a couple of things to do in the morning. So every time I came back home, that was it. I didn't want to do nothing else. So I did have plans this morning. I canceled them. I said, I'm going to finish this because this is something I need to get out of the way. And as God had it planned, it was no stress until I hit that button and messed up. That was on me. But it was at the end. I was trying to perfect something that was already perfected. And that let me know I should have left it alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes God send you something. Enough is enough. You're done. You know?
But I'm proud of you because a couple of weeks ago too,
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that, and I canceled every event because I'm good for trying to show up for people.
Yep.
And I'm working. That's one thing that I'm still working on, but I'm getting better at it. I canceled every event.
Yep.
Theo came over. I have a window to talk to you, and I'm going to this. By the time she got here, I said I canceled everything because I was like, "That's you're coming to help me. How am I going to put you on a schedule?"
Yeah.
But if you're just tuning in, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and we're having a real conversation that hopefully a lot of you are listening and hearing, whether you're here now or it'll be the replay, about how important it is to have purposeful rest.
Exactly.
Right? Like purposeful rest. And I don't know also if it's because we're all 50 something, right?
Yes.
I'm sure like how we think about rest now is different than how we used to think about rest in the family.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
I remember old people just say rest your nerves.
I remember going on vacation. Do you guys remember going on vacation? I used to go on vacation with my girls, right, in our 20s, 30s, and come back tired.
Stressed out, right? Yeah.
Because you just and now we get there and I'll be like, let's go scope out the pool area. Let's see where we're gonna be sitting, who's going out in the morning to hold the lounge chairs, right? Just like the whole purpose is just to relax. Maybe do a tour here or there, but I remember going on vacation and we were doing like this tour, that tour. We're playing tennis. We're doing all these activities, right? But now it's like
you do what you want to do. The group I go with, they call me the pool girl. We know we're gonna find Regina at the pool. Absolutely. I gotta walk around. They say you be there from sun up to sundown. I sure do.
Yeah.
I get out early in the morning. I ain't gotta have no crowd with me. I bring my blanket. I bring my book. I bring a bottle, my water bottle.
Yep.
And I sit there and they go and doing this and that. And I mean, I will do, but they know for the most part, I'm going to do one. I feel like if I go in a country or wherever, I need to just, so I know the country, know something about it. I go on one excursion and usually it's to tour the country.
Yeah.
I don't care about all that, whatever it is. When you go across the sky, whatever. What is it? When you go across,
the little, what's that thing?
When you run, you over the mountains. Zip lining. I don't care about all that. I don't care about with the motorcycles and the dust and all that. I'm going out one little tour, and you gonna find me at the beach with my book and talking to the people. I have met great friends, and we have become Facebook friends. I've met some great people just talking in the resorts.
Yeah, true that. That's so true. I mean, I'm lucky because I travel with, whereas most people say they can't travel with a group of women. I travel with probably the same 9, 8 women, and we travel well together. And the beautiful thing about that is there might be 2 or 3 of us at the pool. There might be 2 or 3 are doing this, but nobody's upset about whatever choice or decision you make to do whatever it is that you want to do. Right, so
that's it. Yeah, you have to be in the right group. You can't travel with everybody.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And and your group preferences might change over the years.
Yeah.
Because as you were talking about how when you would do the touristy stuff and all of the kind of excursions, and it was like everybody was going. You don't need to do that anymore. So you don't.
Yeah.
There are a few people who might not want to do that, and the others will
Yeah.
not get offended if you choose
Mm-mm.
not to.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of knowing the people that you travel with.
Hey, yeah, I love history, so I always like to go to the countries that I'm in and explore something about the country. I like to go away from the resort into in a trusted
Right.
thing that usually the resorts can refer some happen. You already know I'm not going to get nobody off the street,
Hmm.
but and then I learn about the country, and that's what I like to do. And
Yeah.
then I bring my little butt right on back to the
Mhm.
pool. But you got to know yourself. You got to know what you like. And
Yeah.
somebody said, "Oh, I did this, and I went over there, and I did that." Okay, you good. That's what you like to do. And
But I
some by
think
other people, they don't want to do what I want to do. So
but
it's
I think
fine.
the main thing is where we started, right? Is being comfortable doing it without any guilt, right? And I think that's something you grow
Mhm.
into,
Yeah,
right?
you definitely grow into that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely
Because
so.
I was a people pleaser for a long
Oh,
time,
people pleasing. Yeah.
pleasing all the people, but
Yeah.
nobody was pleasing me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Hmm.
Say that again.
I
Pleasing all the people, but
Nobody was pleasing me.
exactly. Just like I said,
There
right?
you go.
Who takes care of you when you're tired, right? Who takes care of you
Hmm.
when something's going on, right?
right.
Who's in your village, right? So what's one tip you would give someone for to have to reconnect with themselves?
I think Regina mentioned it earlier. Just I love what you shared about how you took that 20-minute space and just kind of set your own your own hub. So it doesn't necessarily, if you can't do a whole day, um, take some time to think about what you enjoy, what makes you feel good. Maybe it's listening to some jazz, in the space of everything going on. Maybe you light a candle, or maybe you just take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to read a chapter in a book. But don't feel guilty about needing to do that for yourself
Mm,
because it's so important. And I'm speaking to the younger me. If I had known um, how that impacted my body, all of that running and gunning and stressing over meeting other people's deadlines and their priorities and not taking into account what I needed at different times as a family, with a family, there's priorities that you have
mhm,
at home. So don't feel guilty about thinking or considering those things. Either way you do it, if as a mom, as a wife, you can't be everything to everyone, but
mm,
the ones that matter to you the most, you can have real conversations with them about what your needs are. I used to tell my children sometime when used to get home, mommy needs a timeout. Give
mm,
me give me 20 minutes before y'all rush me with the day stuff. I want to know, but give me 20 minutes to recenter. Then my husband would be like, let your mother, she just walked in the door, let her catch her stuff, because I want dinner, homework, this and that, this
mm,
happened. Let me get 20 minutes and I'll recenter and I can be there for you. So whether you're a parent or a spouse, or you got a lot of things going on, you balancing stuff, just ask yourself how are you really feeling, and don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm great, or hey, I really could use some rest. You owe that to yourself to restore and replenish, because the things that you love to do, or the things that you really realize, hey, out of the 10 things I'm doing, 5 of them are really important to me. So
mm,
you need to find a way to navigate through those other things and try to narrow down your list so that you don't burn yourself out. You want to be able to grow and enjoy as you get older. And if you're running hard and you're not eating healthy, all those things, it
mm,
rolls into other stuff. Why I didn't go to the doctor when I need to go for that checkup, but I was working on this launch we're doing,
mm,
right? So I spent time going here, and I kept rescheduling my appointments to the doctor. Listen, take care of you first. And it's okay, and you should never feel guilty about needing to take care of you, because that person that takes care of you, you'll be better for the people that you really are there to serve. But
Good.
take care of yourself.
I
Hmm.
like that. That was good. I like the telling people you need that 20 minutes to reset. Sheila, what's the tip
Yes.
you
I'm going to go back to what Regina said about multitasking.
have? Mm,
Multitasking is a myth, right?
mm,
That's along the lines of a woman can have it all. Well, you can have it all. You just don't have to be all,
mm,
right?
mhm.
You don't have to multitask. Your tasks can overlap. And I learned that a long time because, especially in the corporate world, right? Especially in your own home, you have to think you
Yes,
always have to be able to do several things at one time, but you're mastering none of it,
Mm.
right?
that part.
I know myself that when I'm trying to do everything, doing too many things at one time, it creates an attention deficit. I don't know where to focus, right? I have lost focus and I'm going back and forth and completing absolutely nothing. And then
Wow.
by the end of the day, whether it's trying to do something at home or trying to do something at work, I'm still realizing that where I may have only crossed one thing off of my list because I didn't give it my undivided attention when I should have.
Yes,
Mm.
So don't buy into the myth that you have to do everything because that leads to guilt when something or nothing is actually accomplished or completed fully. It's
Wow.
okay to schedule things out and say, I'm going to do A, B, and that's it today because I need my rest so that I can be refreshed tomorrow so that I can do C and D.
Mm.
It's really hard because you do want to try to do as much as you possibly can, compact it in this little bit of time, and we realize too that time is fleeting.
Yep.
So that 8 hours that you think that you have to work on several things really only turns into probably 5 good productive hours. So
Wow.
be realistic about what it is that you can actually do.
I love it. Like y'all are on point. Yeah. Listen, I hope people are taking notes. So we got the little notepads out because they dropping gems tonight. All right, Regina, your
Yeah,
tip.
I'd say take that cape off because you are not a superwoman.
Mm.
You know what?
for real.
I'm
Find
Say it
not
time.
again.
a
Yeah,
superwoman.
yeah, you're
I was
not.
thinking about her
You're
too.
not. It's a myth. I'm piggybacking off what Sheila said. Because you're a master of none. Focus on one thing at a time, or two, maybe three at the most. And don't feel guilty when you can't get it done. Take care of yourself. And this
Mhm.
is coming from 4 women who have been there. I've
Yeah.
had to pivot twice in my life. I didn't think I would be here. I had in my perfect world mind. That's what my son says. My perfect world. I said, "What do you mean by perfect world?" He said, "In my perfect world."
But that's it.
But it's true.
I
It's
put
like
that.
in my perfect world, I was gonna be sitting back. I was gonna be married. I was gonna live on the house on the hill. I was gonna
Mhm.
travel with my husband when I retired. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Now, that part is okay, but what happens when I had to just keep pivoting because of all these jobs and a layoff and a this and a that and relocating in my, I guess, mid 50s when I came to North Carolina, but just those type of things. But I had to take that cape off because I was no longer that, and I had to do the work because mentally, and it started back in Jersey. Mentally, that was, if I didn't get my mental together, I could be crazy on the streets.
Mhm.
So
That
you
part.
have to learn with
Yeah,
what is dealt. The cards that you have dealt with, learn how to navigate through them.
Oh my God. I mean, I think that is like like you guys are dropping gems, but honestly, it truly is about, you know, me, that intentionality. And I
Mhm.
don't think that until I made up in my mind, right? Like this is the vision, right, that I have for my life, right? Like, and like you said, things are not gonna go the way we want it to go. But the one thing I knew is I needed peace and I needed harmony. And how was I gonna do that? Right? Like I needed
Mm-hmm.
to realize, like you said, like Sheila said, I can't do 50 things at one time because
Right.
doing
Right.
the 10 things at one time means, like Sheila said, honestly, you never complete anything.
Mm.
And so now it's like I'm real intentional. These are my goals for the week. And then I might be like, I got three, but this is the one I'm going to focus on for this week. And if I get to the second one, I'll get to the second one. But for me to enter a week and be like, I need to get this, and this done and expect to get it all done in a week, I know I'm setting myself up. Because the
Right.
one thing that we don't have control over is the things we don't know that are going to come our way,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Because every day we get up with a plan and then something happens and it pivots. So,
Mhm.
you know, this has been a rich conversation. If you're just joining us, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. And as usual, we have already hit the top of the hour. So I guess the tips were our final, unless somebody has another final thought to share. I could think of one, but anybody else have like a final thought to share
I
with everyone before we close out?
I will say with the advent of AI as advanced as it's become, right? Now we've had AI for a while. We have these phones, so anytime you see the words correct, that's AI. But now we have like different levels of um this technology. Depending on what you're doing, you may be able to use some of that to help you reclaim your time.
Mm,
Um, don't let it think for you, but you can learn how to work with AI to help filter out some of the things that you're working on, some projects that you're working on. Now, don't let it do the work for you. Make it work on what you're doing. But that could be one way in this life we're in now with the
mm,
use of technology. Allow that to be an arsenal, something in your arsenal that can help you reclaim your time.
mm,
And if you take the little time to learn how to navigate with the AI, just pick one aspect of it, to help you at work, or even at home working on different projects.
mm.
It can help you reclaim some of your time. And you really need to do that for yourself because you'll feel way better reclaiming your time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sheila, Regina,
I said my
I
last. Let me
think we.
just. Mhm,
that's okay.
mhm.
All right. So, so I have a challenge. I don't know if I'm gonna call it a challenge or call to action, but I am, for anyone that's listening now or who will tune in later, at some point throughout this week, or maybe it's even on the weekend. But I challenge you to give yourself permission to rest without guilt. So for those of you who still feel guilty about resting, because you can see we don't anymore, right? But for those of you who may still feel a little guilt about resting, I challenge you to not only give yourself permission to rest without guilt, but I want you to intentionally plan time to do nothing. So whether you use Regina's method of choosing 20 minutes to do nothing, or for me, I'm not really into yoga, I'm just getting into it, but my favorite yoga style is Savasana, which is the resting part where all you do is lay out and rest, right? So maybe you do 5 minutes or 10
Okay.
minutes of Savasana yoga. Maybe you do what Regina mentioned, which is you set aside, and maybe 20 minutes is too long. Start out with 5 minutes, start out with 10 minutes, but intentionally plan time to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like to just sit still. Put your phone in another room so you don't see it going off or blinking, right?
Right.
Disconnect from social media. Like when you choose time to do nothing, I mean nothing. Not nothing. I'm gonna sit and scroll through social media. No. Choose time to just sit still. Maybe do some breathing exercises. Maybe read a book. But don't do anything that's going to distract you from yourself.
I love that.
That's
You could
my
journal. You could journal because that
yeah,
might help you
that's
with
what
your
I'm saying.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like anything that's going to distract you from yourself, like journaling is going to help you tune into yourself, right? Reading a book might help you clear your mind and think about something else. Sitting still and breathing, but going through social media, that means it's a distraction. You're going to get caught up in what somebody else is doing. So take some time. Hey, sit back like Sheila, have a nice little glass of wine and relax, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but do something like I literally challenge you to take some time to do nothing. It is one of the things that I do usually on Sunday. All right, like I go to church, and then it's like the rest of the day, I'm not trying to do anything. Like I might, maybe hang out with a friend or whatever, but as far as doing work or anything that is going to take away from just me time, I try not to do. So that's my challenge to all of you. And so we thank you for tuning in. We'll be back here next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to have a celebration. Because you
Yes,
want to know
your
when next
birthday,
birthday is?
Yeah.
the holiday.
The holiday.
Birthday. It's your birthday.
Maybe
It's
we'll have a
my
little wine on it.
exactly. So I don't know what's gonna be happening, but
Little cake or
tune
something.
in
Little cake.
Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna have another rich conversation, but we also will be celebrating my birthday online. So have a great night. Thank
Woo-hoo.
you for tuning in to
Yes.
the Women to Women show on the New You Nation Network. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday night. If you have not already done so, or if you're watching this on a replay, please like, subscribe, and share so you could be notified every time we go live or one of our other shows go live. We have several shows on this network, and I guarantee you that whatever show you tune into, you will not be disappointed. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you here again next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye bye.